Welcome to Straight Up Now Tell Me, Christian conversation that's straight without a chaser. So here's to hoping that you had a great start to the holiday season. And if anyone were to ask us what we are most thankful for here at Straight Up Now Tell Me, I would have to say that we are thankful for you and your ability to actually be a part of the podcast and for joining us when you're able to join us, and really for sharing this moment as we seek to learn about the things of God and to really talk about how to make this world a better place for all of us. So thank you for being a part of that. And what I would also say is that the only thing that outpaces that is our thankfulness for Jesus Christ. So thank you again for being a part of the podcast, being a part of who we are, and for really sharing in this moment with us. And one other thing I wanted to say as we all approach the holiday season and to really kick this off is that we are seeking to have peace on earth. And when we think about having peace on earth, it may come by way of a way that we may not be expecting. But one of the things I would say is that it may not be the type of peace that some of us may think it is, by saying quietness maybe, or possibly just being able to be undisturbed, and that definition of peace. But what it could come by is just simply by allowing the love of God to shine on the earth and to be loving towards ourselves and be loving towards others. And so when I think of peace on earth, I think of it coming by, just by way of that, by letting the love of God shine in our lives. So I invite, all of us to kind of experience that love and to learn more about that love and to let it shine in our lives throughout this season and to really see how it will make the world a better place. So thank you for that. And if you're willing to join in, and I certainly applaud that. And so I hope that, many of us will, take this opportunity to let the love of God shine in our lives. But not only that, I would say that the peace of God also comes by letting, a joy shine. And letting joy come from us and actually sharing that joy with other people. So I invite us to also experience that, so not only allowing the love of God to shine through our lives and in our hearts, but also allowing, just being willing to share a bit of joy with other people on this planet. And we'll see if that adds up to the peace that we're hoping for in this holiday season. But, just by way of saying a few other things. So we have the love of God that we're able to share to bring peace on earth. And we also have that, bit of joy that we can share with one another. But we also have, things like goodness. And goodness can come in many forms. And I wanted to share that a friend of mine actually spreads a little bit of goodness around, and actually a lot during this holiday season, by actually just inviting others to come down to the local grocery store, whereby he actually gives out gift cards to the seniors there. And so I think one thing that I've really taken notice of is that not only the event itself, but the fact that it brings tears to those senior citizens' eyes, not just because that someone thought about them, but that they put a lot of thought into it and a lot of love into it. And so he actually gives away $100 gift cards. And what I will say about the seniors that we may not all be aware of is that once you, unless you retire well, or actually, have other resources, you become on a set income that doesn't actually match, the increases that others might see, and it doesn't actually help when the cost index or things the price of things start rising, is what I'm trying to say. And so I think that they're touched by the event because someone thought enough of them, and then also because it's enough to actually make a moment's difference in their lives because of the dollar amount of the gift cards. So I invite us to share in the goodness and adding goodness to the world and adding goodness to the lives of others during this season and throughout the entire calendar year. But if we can just, consider that, and I think we'll be delightfully surprised at the impact that it makes. And so also I wanted to say that there are other ways to have peace on earth that don't really cost us anything. And one way that we can have it is just by adding a bit of gentleness to the earth. And so we can do that by just being, a little bit gentler in our response to things that may go awry, or just towards other people, be it younger people, children, or maybe persons who are up in age, or just people in general of any age. So we can, increase the peace on earth by, adding a bit of gentleness to the whole equation. And then we can also, add a bit of kindness. And so a kind word, sometimes a smile takes us a long way in the process. And so those are things that, I say we can add to have a little bit more peace on earth. There's the love that, God shows towards us that we can show towards others, and, find ways of doing that. And I mean, just, think about it. Let God lead you to ways to be loving towards others and to really show love. And again, to add a bit of joy to the holiday season, you can do it simply by just, adding offering a helping hand. And so there was a situation that I want to share whereby a couple actually had to leave their home unexpectedly during this holiday season. And so I would dare say that, but a neighbor came by to actually offer a helping hand in that situation. And they were, they were forced to leave by court order, but the neighbor came by and actually helped them load the moving truck. And I say that added a bit of joy to the situation, in that even though it's a tough situation to be in, but just to know that somebody's there and you are actually seen and cared for enough that they're willing to extend a helping hand. And so that's an odd way of looking at joy, but I dare say that I hope that they look back and experience the joy that was intended in that, and that, there's just, even in a bad situation, there's hope that was extended by another person. So we can add joy to the situation. We can add to the situation on earth, is what I'm saying. We can add the love of God. We can add the peace of God as we, know it by, I guess, natural definition, just by being, peaceful in given situations. But we can have the peace on earth that we're all looking for by adding a little bit of patience to a situation, adding a little bit of kindness, a lot of goodness, gentleness, and even by adding self-control. And so you might ask, how could we do that? I guess the easiest way for us to all do that is to add it, if we're out in traffic throughout this season, it tends to be a lot more people out. If we can just have, a bit of self-control in that situation as we're traveling to home and to work, or if we can just have self-control by way of the things we do at the shopping mall, who knows? There are a million ways of getting it done, and adding it to the equation, and just saying that, what, I'm not going to blow up here. I'm actually going to, use the self-control that I know I can. So those are ways to really increase the joy of the season and the joy of life in general on this earth, and to add the peace, on this earth that we're all looking for. So I invite us all to share in that. But one other thing I wanted to say before I hop off is that, we always hear people say to count our blessings, but I would say let's not just count our blessings, but let's also share them. And so thank you again for joining Straight Up Now Tell Me. And I again want you to know that we are so thankful for everything that you are and everything you bring to this earth. And we invite you to continue to grow as we grow, and to continue to join us as we seek to, find out, the things of God, and to really learn how to live this life in order to make this world a better place. And everything that God is and everything that God does is really geared towards that, from beginning of time as we understand it, until now. God has sought to really make this place a better place for all of us, this world a better place for all of us, by guiding us and getting, and wooing us that we might follow him and love him, and also love our neighbor in that way. So thank you again for joining, and we look forward to spending time with you again and to having you back as part of the show.